I'm going to start with something that's going to seem rather superficial. But as much as the WNBA and Unrivaled like to highlight the fits, players coming out in their fits, as superficial as it does seem to draw people's interest. So I got to say, first of all, Caitlin Clark looked spectacular during this event.
Look at that outfit, bright pink, perfectly fitted, clearly girly. Before Caitlin Clark even said one word on NBC's Sunday Night Basketball, she'd already made a statement. In women's basketball, where many players try to avoid looking traditionally girly, that choice is more important than people want to admit. This wasn't just about fashion. This was about her brand, her appeal, and understanding exactly who she's trying to reach when she steps onto the biggest stage in women's sports.
I know people had complaints about Caitlin not being out at the beginning because we're in the chat and people are like, where's Caitlin? Where's Caitlin? And people are like typing in, where's Caitlin? Because we were like, where's Caitlin? But one of the things that we talked about during the live stream is that's a smart move by NBC, because you want to introduce the star. You want to introduce this special guest. You know that people also are probably going to tune in late because you know that there were some people who are like, oh wait, what channel is this on? Oh wait, well this is today? Oh wait, how do I get on? And so you have enough time for people to figure all those things out.
NBC knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't bring Caitlin out at the start. They made people wait, made them wonder, made them ask, where's Caitlin? In chat rooms and on social media. Because when you're dealing with the biggest star in women's basketball, you don't just throw her out there like any other analyst. You build excitement. You let people tune in late, find the right channel, get comfortable, and then you give them the big entrance they're waiting for. This is basic entertainment strategy, but it's something the WNBA has always failed at. They don't know how to show off their stars or understand the entertainment side of sports media. But NBC does. They've been doing this with the NBA for 10 years. And on January 26, 2025, they used it for Caitlin Clark.
We're joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
Yes.
First time in MSG for a Knicks game, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah. How could you describe maybe the atmosphere your first time in it?
Well, I think as a player, like this is kind of when you feel the atmosphere the most is when you're out on the court warming up. So, I mean, there's just a different type of buzz. And obviously when LeBron comes to town, it's probably really different. But, you know, Knicks fans are crazy and I love it. I love people that are passionate about basketball. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating for people as I see people comment on it. But in terms of business, in terms of how you deal with special guests, that's what you should expect. And then they did a good job because they gave us some highlights at first after they started the show, and then they did some more highlights.
Watch how they brought her into the broadcast. She's sitting with Maria Taylor, Carmelo Anthony, and Reggie Miller, not as the rookie trying to prove herself, or as the WNBA player grateful for the chance, but as an equal, a fellow analyst who belongs at that table with NBA legends. And here's what makes this smart from a business view. They showed her playing that modified horse game with Jamal Crawford first. Before the deep basketball talk or heavy stuff, they put her on the court. They reminded everyone why they're watching this woman can play. She lost the first game, won the next two. Real competition, real stakes, real Caitlin Clark.
And which makes us relate to you more. And so ultimately she won 2 out of 3, but her getting out there, seeing her miss shots, and then seeing her make shots, it's all a part of the connection experience that is key to when you're trying to grow your sport, your brand, and of course, obviously interest. So yeah.
You go first.
Left hand free.
That willingness to compete in front of millions knowing she might lose is exactly what separates Caitlin from so many other athletes. Most stars at her level would never risk looking bad on national TV. They'd make excuses, play it safe, protect their brand. But Caitlin understands something deeper about connecting with fans. People don't just want to see you win. They want to see you as human. They want to see you miss shots and make shots, show emotion and be real. When she lost that first game to Crawford, fans didn't think less of her. They related to her more because that happens to all of us. We don't always win. Watching someone at her level experience that makes her more accessible, more likable, and more marketable.
She was well-spoken. She was knowledgeable. She was reflective, even about her own game.
Luka. I mean, Luka's amazing and he's incredible. I think the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes. He can get a defender to move where he wants him to go, and he takes up that space, and he does a really good job of either keeping the defender behind him or keeping him to the side. So I think that's something I can certainly.
Now let's talk about her actual basketball analysis. When they asked about Luka Doncic, she didn't give some boring answer about how great he is. She broke down specific parts of his game, how he uses his body to create space, how he keeps defenders exactly where he wants them. And then, here's the key part, she applied it to her own game. She said she tends to run away from defenders instead of absorbing contact and taking up space. That's self-awareness. That's basketball IQ. That's the kind of smart insight that makes people respect you as an analyst, not just tolerate you as a celebrity guest.
She also talked about how important this moment is right now.
First WNBA game when I was a young girl, I went to the Minnesota Lynx when they had their dynasty with Maya Moore, and they were playing the Seattle Storm. And now basically any arena you go to, it's sold out. We're adding 2 teams. We're up to 14 now, and then hopefully getting to 18 in the next couple of years. So, business is booming, and that's a really good.
But the CBA question was always going to come up. The WNBA Players Association had a critical meeting scheduled for the next day. The entire 2026 season was in question. Negotiations were tense. Players were talking about possibly opting out. And Maria Taylor asked Caitlin directly, "What do you want to see happen?" Watch how Caitlin handles this. She doesn't bash the owners or complain about money. She doesn't create drama or pick sides publicly. Instead, she calls it a big moment for all of women's sports, expresses confidence they'll make a deal, and emphasizes that the basketball on the court is what's driving this moment.
See her back on the court after she only had an opportunity to play 13 games last season.
I almost only appeared in 13 games last year. So more than anything, I'm just itching to get back out on the court and kind of feel like myself again. And I've been putting in a lot of hard work, and I got USA basketball coming up. So looking forward to that too.
Yeah. So like I said, short amount of time in the big scheme of things. But what she did with
that answer is brilliant for multiple reasons. First, she's not pretending everything is perfect or that players don't deserve more. She's acknowledging what's at stake. But second, she's showing confidence to fans who are worried there might not be a 2026 season. She's saying, "I believe this gets done," which immediately calms people down. Does she have inside information that the deal is done? Probably not. The meeting was the next day. But she's using her platform to send a message to both sides. Don't blow this moment. We've worked too hard. The fans deserve better. Get the deal done. And notice how she credits the actual basketball, not the media coverage or marketing. That's important because it reminds everyone, including the owners, that the players are the ones creating the value that's driving this growth.
Understanding that there are fans involved. Caitlin has already told us that the fans deserve a season, and that's what you do. You don't come in and bring chaos. You come in and bring confidence. And that's what she did. And in so doing, you show your own passion to be out there playing again. And it sends a message without hammering anybody. Give her the mic anytime. I also have to say, NBC did a fabulous job of treating Caitlin.
Here's what NBC understood that the WNBA still struggles with. Presentation matters. Not just what you say, but how you package it. The lighting was perfect, the set was professional, the graphics were clean. The other analysts treated Caitlin with respect, not like she was less than them. They asked her real questions about basketball, not just about being a woman in sports or dealing with social media hate. This is how you build credibility for your league. You put your best player on the biggest stage and let her show the world she belongs there, not as a novelty or diversity hire, but as someone who truly understands basketball at the highest level and can explain it to everyone watching. Let's talk about what this appearance means for the WNBA's future. For years, the league has struggled with one question: how do we market women's basketball to more people? They've tried emphasizing social justice and highlighting players' off-court interests. They've tried everything except the most obvious answer: put your stars in positions where they can shine. Let them be excellent. Let them be feminine if they want to be. Let them talk basketball without constantly having to defend why their sport matters. Let them be on the same platforms as NBA stars, not as a separate, lesser product. but as equals who bring different but equally valuable perspectives. Caitlyn's NBC appearance worked because it followed this formula. She wasn't there as WNBA star Caitlin Clark. She was there as Caitlin Clark, basketball analyst who happens to play in the WNBA. That small shift in how she's presented changes everything about how casual fans see her in the league. Think about the millions of people who tuned in to watch the Knicks and Lakers. How many had never watched a WNBA game? How many had dismissed women's basketball as boring or not worth their time? And then they see Caitlyn breaking down Luka's game with the same skill that Reggie Miller or Carmelo Anthony would bring. They see her competing with Jamal Crawford and hitting three-pointers from way out. They see her looking confident, professional, and knowledgeable. That changes how people think. That creates new fans. That's how you grow a league. The WNBA has historically been terrible at this. They've hidden their stars. They've been afraid to let personalities shine because they're worried about overshadowing the team concept. They've been so focused on being taken seriously that they forgot sports is also entertainment. NBC didn't make any of those mistakes on January 26. And here's the business reality that makes this even more important. Caitlin Clark only played 13 games last season before her injury. Fever fans are desperate to see her back on the court. The excitement for the 2026 season, assuming the CBA gets done, is huge. But what happens during the off-season? How do you keep that excitement going when there are no games to watch? You do exactly what NBC did. You give fans access to Caitlyn in different ways. You let them see her personality. You remind them why they fell in love with her in the first place. You keep her in the public eye so that when the season starts, the audience is already pumped and ready. This is something the NBA has understood for decades. They put their stars on inside the NBA. They have them do commercials. They create content around them during the off-season. The WNBA has been slow to do this, partly because they haven't had the media partnerships to make it possible, but now they do. NBC is invested. ESPN is invested. The infrastructure is finally in place. The question is whether the league will be smart enough to use it. Will they give Caitlyn more opportunities like this? Will they showcase other stars in similar ways? Or will they go back to their old habits of treating every player exactly the same, refusing to admit that some players are bigger draws than others? Because here's the uncomfortable truth the WNBA has to face. Caitlin Clark is not like other players. Her impact on TV ratings, attendance, and merchandise sales is unlike anything in league history. The Indiana Fever went from irrelevant to must-see TV because of her. Other teams' attendance jumped when she came to town. Her jersey outsold everyone else's combined. That doesn't mean other players aren't talented or don't deserve respect, but it does mean that if you're running a business, you build your marketing around your biggest star. You give her the platform. You let her carry the league. And you hope that when she rises, everyone else rises with her. Some players and fans have been upset about this reality. They've complained about the media focusing too much on Caitlyn. They've criticized the Caitlin Clark effect as if it's somehow unfair that she gets more attention. But that resentment is wrong. Caitlyn isn't taking opportunities away from other players, she's creating opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. The CBA negotiations are a perfect example. Players are asking for higher salaries, better travel conditions, and improved benefits. And they have power in these negotiations specifically because of the growth Caitlyn has driven. The ratings are up, the attendance is up, the sponsorship money is up. None of that happens without her. So when she goes on an NBC and handles herself with that level of professionalism and grace, she's not just representing herself, she's representing every player who will benefit from the new CBA. She's showing the world that women's basketball is worth investing in. She's proving that the product can compete for mainstream attention. And she's doing it while looking like herself. That bright pink outfit wasn't an accident. It was a choice, a deliberate decision to be feminine, to be polished, to be herself in a league where so many players go out of their way to reject traditional femininity. Caitlyn's comfort in her own skin stands out. Does that make her better than players who present differently? Of course not. But it does make her more marketable to a wider audience. And whether we like it or not, marketability matters when you're trying to build a successful business. The WNBA isn't a charity or a social experiment. It's a professional sports league that needs to make money to survive. Caitlyn understands this. She understands that her role goes beyond just playing basketball. She's an ambassador for the sport, a brand, a business. And she carries the responsibility with remarkable maturity for someone who's only been a pro for one season. Watch that interaction with Maria Taylor again. Watch how comfortable Caitlyn is in that environment. She's not scared to sit next to Carmelo Anthony and Reggie Miller. She's not nervous about being on national television. She's in her element because basketball is her element. Whether she's playing it, watching it, or talking about it, this is what she was built for. That natural comfort comes through to the audience. We watch her and think, this person belongs here. We don't question whether she's qualified. We don't wonder if she's just there for diversity points. We accept her as a real analyst because she carries herself like one. This is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Caitlyn has been preparing for moments like this her entire life. She's studied the game. She's worked on her communication skills. She's thought deeply about what she wants to say and how to say it. So when NBC calls and offers her this platform, she's ready. How many other WNBA players could have done what she did on that broadcast? Honestly, not many. Not because they're not smart or knowledgeable about basketball, but because they haven't developed the media skills. They haven't put in the work to become comfortable in front of cameras. They haven't thought strategically about how to share their expertise with a general audience. Caitlyn has, and that's why she's the face of the league. That's why NBC wanted her specifically for this role. That's why brands are throwing money at her. She's not just a great basketball player. She's a great basketball player who can explain what makes basketball great. The timing of this appearance is also important. It happened right before the critical CBA meeting, right when fans were most worried about the future of the league, right when the WNBA needed someone to show confidence and stability. And Caitlyn delivered exactly what the moment needed. She didn't create drama. She didn't make demands. She didn't turn it into a platform for complaints. She simply said, I believe we're going to get this done, and moved on. That's leadership. That's understanding that your words have power and using them responsibly. Compare that to how some other players have handled the CBA situation, publicly complaints about travel, salaries, and conditions. All real issues, but not necessarily helpful when you're trying to negotiate. When you negotiate in public, you back both sides into corners. You make it harder to compromise. You turn it into a PR battle instead of a business discussion. Caitlyn avoided all of that. She acknowledged the importance without making things worse. She expressed hope without being naive. She struck exactly the right tone for someone in her position. And that's what makes her so valuable to the WNBA. She's not just their best player, she's their best spokesperson. She's the person they can trust to represent the league on the biggest stages without creating problems or controversy. She's the safe bet, who also happens to be incredibly exciting to watch. NBC recognized this. They didn't bring her on as a favor to the WNBA. They brought her on because she's good for their broadcast. She brings viewers, energy, and credibility. And she does it all while making everyone around her look good. That's rare. That's special. That's why this 17-minute appearance on Sunday Night Basketball matters so much more than just 17 minutes of TV. It's proof that Caitlyn Clark can succeed in any basketball-related role you put her in. Player, analyst, ambassador, brand representative, she can do it all at the highest level. So what happens next? Assuming the CBA gets done, and there's a 2026 season, what does this appearance mean for Caitlyn's future? Does she become a regular part of NBC's basketball coverage? Does she do more of these special appearances? Does she eventually move into broadcasting full-time after her playing career ends? All of that is possible. But right now, the focus has to be on getting back on the court. She said it herself, she's dying to play again. 13 games wasn't enough. Not for her, not for the fans, not for the league. The WNBA needs Caitlyn Clark playing basketball more than it needs anything else. But appearances like this one serve an important purpose in the meantime. They keep her relevant. They keep fans engaged. They remind everyone why we're all so excited about her return. And they prove that her value goes beyond just what she does on the court. The WNBA has never had a player quite like this, someone who can dominate games, sell tickets, drive ratings, and then go on national TV and hold her own with NBA legends. That combination has never been seen before in women's basketball. And if the league is smart, they'll build their entire future around it. Because opportunities like this don't come around often. The WNBA has spent 28 years trying to break through to mainstream success.